Hey, in the last video, we were getting ready to bore some holes in our couple of wine holders here. I also mentioned in that video earlier about little scrap pieces of wood that can go together. That would be a great way of you not to waste material and to get another project out of it. Another really popular project that comes about in our shop happens to be a little hand mirror. I made a template for this years ago, and it's been here ever since, and there's tons of kids who use this to make a nice little hand mirror for their mother, their girlfriend, their boyfriend, anything that is a special occasion, an anniversary, a Christmas present, a Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any kind of gift. This is a great little project to make. What does it look like? Well, here's the finished product. And what I wanted you to take a look at is when you think about our gluing processes, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces of wood, and not all of them were this length. So it's just a little bit of ingenuity on how I can put together a project and get rid of some material that's around the shop without wasting it. The other thing I could do is I could take a board like this and lay it on here, cut it out of here, but it makes a really nice looking little project. So I want you to think along those lines. And for God's sakes, don't do the same thing that everybody else does. Try to think outside the box. But when you do it, try to be wise. Go through Woodworkers Journal magazines, Wood Magazine. There's tons of free plans. The thing that I notice is that years ago, kids would go through magazines and say, I'm gonna make this. Well, now if I say to them, hey, if you need an idea, go through the magazines. It's too much work for somebody to page through the magazines. And I'm looking at this going, wow, everything's in there. A plan, a bill of materials, a picture of what it is you're gonna make. You should not be lazy by not doing that. That's the one responsibility that you have. I say to you, tell me what you wanna make. You can make anything in here. Most people go, oh, it's too much work. It's too much work to make it then. Go somewhere else. Let's go over to the drill press, bore our holes, and finish up our wine holder. Come on, let's go. Bop, 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 bop. When I worked on here the last time, Thank you, cameraman. I cut my boards, and there were 2 wine holder boards that I was gonna use. And I said I wanted to have the wine holders this way. I wanna see this side, and I also wanna see this side. So when I do that, what I want to do is I'm going to take this, place it into my jig that holds the board at exactly 45 degrees. I'm going to clamp it down, and I'm going to bore a hole in each one of these to create that 45-degree angle hole. And that's the whole secret with this little project. So what I'm going to do is I like the oak one. I think it's cool with the wormholes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my board and I'm going to place it in the jig, clamp it up, and I'll bore my hole. So if I look at this, this is the side that I want to see up top. I take my board, slide it in here, slide it down. Look at how tight that fits. Oh my goodness. That is tremendous. Just like that. I probably don't even need to clamp that in. Of course I will, but that thing fits so snug, it's going to be difficult to get that out of. It really locks it in place. The next thing that works for me are these 2 little deep throat clamps. I'm going to take a deep throat clamp. If I clamp over here, obviously my drill bit's going to go right into my clamp. So I have to place this where it's not going to get in the way. And this is the tricky part about this project. If I take this and I clamp it down to the right-hand side, remember my handle has to clear and also the drill press has to clear. It also moves. So what I want to do is I'm going to place it right here, tighten this down as tight as I can get it, just to make sure it doesn't move. If I can get another clamp on there, that's even better to make sure it doesn't move. Maybe I can get this bigger clamp on. I don't know that I can. Let's just see. If I bring this down, is that gonna hit there? Well, that's actually a pretty good way of clamping this. If I clamp this down super tight, I think I'm ready to go. I'm ready to drill my hole. When I'm working on the drill press, remember we had the round side up Okay, that's the side that we want the hole to be. So this is the side that we're going to see. If you look, it's placed just like this, so that when I put the bottle in, the bottle goes in this way, this surface is seen. All set, ready to go. I have my safety glasses on, sleeves are rolled up, the board's clamped down, nothing else. I'm gonna bore the hole. When I do it, you're gonna notice a couple of things. I'm gonna drill down, I'm gonna try to go as deliberately as I can, and the other thing that's gonna happen is when I get all the way through this, remember we're drilling at a 45-degree angle, there's gonna be sawdust that's gonna actually come into that hole. So what you'll notice me do is drill down and then raise it up to clean out that hole. You don't want sawdust to go in there, which is gonna clog up that hole. All set? Any questions? All right, here we go. Everything is clear of the clamps. I'm gonna start to bring this down. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I said to you that everything here matters. The dumbest thing, the stupidest thing matters. And over here, I did something wrong, purposely. I do many things unpurposely wrong, but in this case, I did something so that you would maybe think, hey, what is he doing? I have this set up so that the hole is going to be on this side, but if you notice, the last video I showed me squaring an end. Where is that squared end? Uh-oh. 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 Oh, yes. Here's my squared end. I drew the hole on the end that was squared. But when I put it in the jig, look at what the king of the jackasses did. I put the wrong end up against that jig. So what I want to do is I want to make sure this side is going to go down flat up against the end of the jig. So when I drill the hole, this is the side I keep and I get rid of this. How awful would that be if I drilled this hole and I was left with this on the end? So again, you go, all right, it doesn't matter. Everything matters. That's the reason why God gave you a brain, so that you could use it. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies, which means that you become an idiot. Got it? Don't be an idiot. You want to be a thinker. A thinker, not a stinker. Oh, yes. Tighten that down really well. And I said to you, I was able to use this deep throat clamp on there. I like this one because it's a little bit bigger. Can I clear it over here? I don't know that I can. Nope, kind of gets in the way. I'll go back here. Bop, bop, bop. Grip my teeth. Tighten it down. I'm all set. After I drill this oak one, I'm going to go back into the maple one. Let's give it a shot. Again, sleeves are rolled up, safety glasses on, nobody's in the way. I'll start to drill this down. Here's the other thing. It's important that this thing is really clamped down tight, because if you've ever drilled a hole at an angle, you will notice that the drill bit starts to wander. It'll actually follow the angle of the board that you put it at. This is a pretty new drill bit. I found out that the older the drill bit is, if it's been worn a lot, the hole doesn't come out nearly as clean. Wow, I got a ways to go, don't I? What I did before I started drilling this hole is I set up my stops to the depth it had to be to hit the bottom of this jig. So I know that when I hit those stops, I'll be done. Now, oak is pretty tough material. This drill bit is doing a great job, but here's where the sawdust starts to accumulate in that hole. So watch what I'll do. I'll lift it up. I blow it out of the way. I need 2 hands on this drill press. I lift it up, clear the sawdust out. Take your time, Johnny. I'm getting close to the bottom of it. I can feel it. It's a lot easier drilling now than it was before. And when my discs hit on my gray area, I should be down as far as I can be. Don't be an idiot and touch that drill bit. Don't be an idiot, even touch these, because these wood shavings are going to be hot as well. If you went through that drill bit going that fast for that long, you'd be hot too. I'm going to loosen up my deep throat clamps, moving them counterclockwise, and I'm going to take one off. Simon says he'll take off the other one. Get my screwdriver. I'm just going to go underneath there because it fits so well. And I'm going to pull this board out. Oops, I don't want to lift it up and hit the drill bit. Come on, baby. Come on. Oh, come on. Bop, bop. Hey, that's pretty funny. 10 minutes on how to get a board. What I'm looking for is that this hole is nice and clear. You see it kind of chipped the grain a little bit when it started to drill. Let's flip it on the other side. The other side is absolutely perfectly even. So I came right down to that hole, the bottom of the base of the hole. The reason why it's important that you go to that base is that there's wood on the back side of this. Remember, when you're drilling a hole, if you drill a hole all the way through it and you don't back it up with a piece of wood, a lot of times the hole, especially a large drill bit like this, will tend to chip on the back side. So if you look at this, this is nice and clear. My issue is I have a little bit of chip here. Sometimes if I round that over and break the edge, it won't be as noticeable. The other thing that I could probably do is put a little bit of filler in there and then sand it down, and that's not that noticeable at all. But I think it's really cool. I love the wormholes on this. Next one, I'm going to do the same thing to my maple piece. This time I'll be smarter. Here's my squared end. Here's where the hole's going to be. If I take this and place this in there, I still have all that sawdust. Not good. So what I want to do is, let me get the compressor. Can't tell you how many times I've done this. And I've had sawdust for lunch. So with the compressor and nobody around, I just blew that out. My squared end, here's where the hole's gonna be. So I'm gonna take that, lay that on the jig, slide this bad boy in until it butts down up against the jig. Do it the same exact way as I did it before. I'm gonna take my clamps. Good work, cameraman. You see how cameraman panned in there? Woo. And remember, I'm doing this all with a selfie stick. Pretty hard, isn't it? Yeah. Look, Mom, no hands. Sure. Tighten it down. I'm going into bird's eye maple, which is almost, no, it's harder than a piece of oak. So when I do this, I'm gonna do it the same way. Both hands on the drill press, safety glasses on, sleeves are rolled up. Let's see if I can do it as well on this one as I did on the other piece of oak. This one might not chip when I begin it because this grain of this piece of maple is much tighter than the open grained oak. Let's see how I do it. Same exact way. Take your time, allow it to drill. But just like with any woodworking process, you gotta be strong sometimes. I see some people joint. If they're jointing their board and they hold it like it's a piece of cake. Super gentle. What do you notice here? This baby is smoking. Yes, indeed, which is telling me that that wood is a heck of a lot harder than that oak. I'm gonna go down and I'll raise it up. Go down, raise it up. If I just were to drill this all the way through it, you'd get so much heat, you'd actually burn the inside of that hole. That's what I want to try to avoid. I don't want to sand the inside of that other than just a little 120 or 220. So if you notice that this thing is burning, I do it a little bit in increments and then I'll raise it up. There's my mess again. I'll just clear that out. Is my arm in the way? Oh, it is. Right here is the majority of the hole. Because on the back side, I'm kind of through it, but on the front side, it's still there. Notice back here, let's see if we can get a pencil. Come on, baby. You can see where I'm all the way through over here, but this side still has about maybe a ½ inch or so to go. But I'm being consistent here, I'm not pushing it like super hard. If you look at my discs, still have probably about 3/8 of an inch to go or so. But it's much easier boring it now. Because I'm only hitting on that side of the hole. Get to the end, that's as far as it'll go. I'll raise this up. Don't touch the drill bit especially. I wouldn't touch the shavings either because they are hot. And I'll take my clamps off and see how this came out. Bop, bop. The longer board makes it a little bit easier to work with. But if this fits in here nice and tight, which it should, you shouldn't get any movement from side to side. Oh man, the hardest part is going to be to pull this board out. And as once said, strength was always my weakness. Yes, indeed. So here's my board. If I look at this hole, super clean on this side. How did it work out on the, oh my God, super clean on this side as well. Again, that is more of a testimony to how tight this grain is. So if I look at this, let me compare this kind of finished one to these two. You notice this one looks a lot better because it's been sanded down, but also it's been rounded over. So I'm going to go over to the router table. We're going to bullnose this end and we'll bullnose these edges too. We don't have to worry about cutting this to length. The very last thing that we're going to do is cut it to length. Because when we put a finish on this, what I usually tell people to do is to put 2 screws on the end of their boards. So if this board is a lot longer than it has to be, I can put 2 screws in there. When I cut the 45-degree angle on here, I won't notice the screw holes that I use to kind of hold this up. On this one, this was cut already to the length. We just have to be careful. We're not going to put screws in this. What we're going to do is we'll polyurethane this and stain it one side at a time. We'll do that in a little bit. Let's go over to the router table and make these things look a little loved. Come on, take a walk. I mentioned earlier that if you're routing a board and you are doing ends and edges, you always do the ends first. So we're gonna round over this, actually bullnose this, make this a a 3/8 radius on both sides because then it becomes almost touchable. So we're going to route one surface, flip it over, and then route the other surface. But we're going to do the ends first. We do the ends first and then the edges, because if you were to do the edges first and then you do the ends, remembering the direction of the router bit and the direction of the grain, it could chip. If I do the end first and it chips, when I do the edges, it usually cleans it up. So that's always a great part to know. Perhaps that should be a question. When I'm doing ends and edges, what part do I route first? And the correct answer is going to be always route the end first before you do the edge. So let me do this. The other thing is, if I have a narrow piece like this, if I take this and try to keep this up against the fence myself, I think it's dangerous. It's just like cutting on the table saw with a narrow piece. You have instability there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a miter gauge. This miter gauge is what I'm going to use to do the end of this board to keep it stable. If I had a really wide board, let's take a look at this board. If I have a wide board where the majority of this whole width is up against the fence, I probably don't need this miter gauge. But on a narrow piece, I want to use the miter gauge when I'm routing the ends of my boards. To do this, it's set up exactly the way it is on the table saw. I'm going to route the oak piece first. Oops. Hey, you know, I don't know if I had my tag in back of me. Ooh, I didn't? My tag was in front on the drill press? No. Oh my gosh. Bad move there, Johnny boy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Hey, I kept my neck. That's all I know. Well, it's in back this time. End grain first, up against the miter gauge. I'm going to put my left hand on the front of the gauge, holding the board up against the fence and on the miter gauge, and I'm going to send this through. So there's my 3/8 radius. The bull knows it. I'll flip it around. I'll do the other end. And since I have the miter gauge out, I might as well do my maple piece. Well, I feel really bad now. So there's my bullnose end on my maple piece. Now I'm going to do the edges of both. I don't need a miter gauge anymore. But I am going to use this like it's the table saw. So I happen to have a push stick. Stand off to the side. L is going to keep the board up against the fence. My push stick is on the back end, and I'm going to send this through. Flip it over, I'll do the same thing on this side. That looks to me a lot better. It's more touchable. I don't have sharp edges like I have on this piece. Clear out my oak piece. And you can hear the wood chip. I don't care how long these are. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean these up. So I finished the fun part, drilling the hole, making the sawdust, routing it, making the sawdust. Now I have to sand these up. After I sand them up, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to put a finish on them. That piece that I had over there, the one that's out of cypress, I'm going to put a stain on those. But I like the natural color of hardwood, so I'm gonna leave these just the way they are, and I'll just simply polyurethane these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say to you, I will bid you a fair adieu until the next time, where we stain one, polyurethane the other after I sanded it. Do you wanna help me sand? You don't? 81, 20, 220, 406, come on, we'll have a good time.
I fall in love with 80.
Well, you fall in love with 80, but I mean, a little bit on everything. Come on, help me. Come on, please. No? I gotta do this myself. Oh, I hate sanding. Well, I'll see you in the next video. We'll finish these and we'll have 3 really nice gifts that probably took us 3 videos, let's see, maybe 25, maybe 75 minutes, and I have 3 gifts. Excellent. Have a good one.